Week 5 is alive and amplified as teams enter region play looking to make a statement early, while a showdown for the record books takes center stage in LaGrange. Jalen Joyner and Kyrie McCoy have been the thrill on the hill for the Carver Tigers. They'll face off with Corey Joyner's former team, the Doherty Trojans, at home. The Sly County Wildcats got a big win last week, and they'll look to do it again at home against Hawkinsville in a Region 4 1A matchup. Callaway has proven why they are among the state's elite, while Troup County might be the hottest team in the state of Georgia. It's the Cavaliers and the Tigers in a huge crosstown showdown in our Pepsi Prep Zone Game of the Week. The Prep Zone preview starts right now. What's up and what's good, party people? I'm Jack Patterson, welcoming you to week number 5 of the Prep Zone preview. Join me now, as always, Rex Castillo, Justin Holbrook, and this week we're starting to move a little bit closer in the region play, guys.
Week 5 already?
We're a month into the season already. So, well, first off, we'll go back to week 4. Let's run it back. And the biggie, the backyard brawl in Smith Station between Smith Station and Central. Justin, you were there. And Smith Station put up a heck of a fight in the first half.
Yeah, I only saw the first quarter, but I saw probably the best quarter from Smith Station. I mean, Central was driving down the field as they usually do, and then Smith Station gets a sack and a turnover on downs to start the game. It was only 7-0 after the first quarter, so I was really impressed with how the Panthers kind of responded. They were very excited because they're undefeated, but then Central, they're very deep. We talked to Chad Dixon about it from the Citizen of East Alabama. He just said, you can see on the sideline, there's 100 guys for Central that aren't playing. But it's just a deep team, but I like what Smith Station showed. They showed that this could be a playoff team this year. So I know we joke about the backyard brawl and how many years they've won at Central's, I think 10 in a row now. But Smith Station, they got a legit team this year.
Yeah, I think that game said, I mean, we know what we were getting with Central.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, they're the offensive juggernaut in a dominating defense. We know what we're getting with Central.
Sure.
But I think Smith Station really opened up a lot of eyes in that first quarter. Like, hey, you know, we're not just gonna we're just not gonna move over for these guys and let them beat us on our home field. I was impressed.
Eventually they did.
I mean, a whole lot of.
But it was a great start for the team. Something that they can take and say, you know what, we played them tough, and we can use that because no one else is gonna be as talented as Central the rest of the year against on that schedule.
Listen, you can only hope to contain Central. You can't stop. Very
good point.
true.
Good point.
So, like I said, good showing in that first quarter. You know, it got out of hand a little later in the second half, but all in all, it's something that you can build off of.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And that's probably the most important thing for that team under a first-year head coach, trying establishing a new regime.
And I think that's the point that Justin made, is that playoffs is very reasonable for these guys now. I mean, we would have laughed at them last year going 0-10, 2-1, and that one loss, sure, it's against Central. What are you going to do, right? But it's an incredible start for this team. It's really exciting to see where the Panthers will go from here.
I totally agree with you, man. It's going to be really good to see where they go. Biggie on the road this week for them against Enterprise.
And for more on that, you can go to our website. We had a whole interview with Chad Dixon about Central, Smith Station, and a little bit of Russell County football. So if you want to see more, head to our website.
Yes, absolutely. Going back more last week, the game you were at, Troup Harris County, and I think this is just more of the Kobe Hudson show. I mean, the dude is legit.
He really is. Justin brought up on the last Prep Zone preview that Kobe's really starting to perfect the quarterback position and the RPOs that they run up there. He got me several times with the last-second handoff to the running back, and it's one of those things that Troup can literally score within 4 plays, because not only the running attack is incredible, Kobe being a dual-threat quarterback, but his arm, he flashed his range with that arm. It is a cannon. This kid, I can't believe he's going to college as a wideout. So his understanding of the offense, but it's again such a talented group. And then you flip it on the defensive side. I know that Harris County has Calvin Harris, and they have some guys who are very talented. But that is just wave after wave after wave of Troup County defense, and they don't let up. Kim Okuda is an absolute force of nature, and that whole defensive line is a force of nature, which you can't make anything happen if you don't have any time in the pocket. So
exactly,
a team that is, I think, primed for a deep playoff run.
Man, I'm starting to lean towards Justin with this thing. I think this Elite Eight would be a bad season for these guys.
I think so too, absolutely.
I think it's almost, you know, bends or bust here.
I mean,
4A is really talented here
That's
in the state of Georgia.
Right? 4A is very talented.
4A is extremely talented, but
so it's true.
So it's true.
So it's true.
I think we get caught up in the fact that, we see Kobe so much. We see a lot of his highlights. But I think with Kobe developing into more of a leader and more of a more of a dual threat. Like we know what he can do with his legs and maybe throw and flash his range more. It needs to become a deeper team. It can't be stop Kobe and that's it, and then depend on the defense. So I think they'll find a better rhythm as they get further into region play.
And that's frightening.
Right.
Because we already know they have weapons on offense, on defense, but if you get those guys to be on a cohesive unit a little bit more, where one team can't just say, okay, our defensive game plan is let's just stop Kobe. Make it where, okay, now you got to stop Jamari Thrash. Now you got to start the running game. Like and then the defense, I mean, they've stymied 3 straight offenses.
Right.
And I mean, impressively stymied them.
Over 130 points scored compared to just what?
14.
20. But and let's be honest, that's probably more on the second team because
Exactly.
they put in their second team a lot. I think I was talking to King Makuta. I don't know if they've really given up any points as a first
team defense.
As a first team defense, maybe 7, but the first team defense has limited pretty much every single team.
And that's becoming a sense of pride now that they don't they want to pitch shoutouts every week.
Right.
Yeah. Don't know it'll be so easy this week. We'll get to that a little bit later.
And don't sleep on the running back, Trey Williams. I know we're talking about Kobe a lot, but Kobe makes everybody better, and Trey Williams is part of that too.
Exactly.
So if Kobe's not running the ball, they have a solid option at running back. So it's not just him at quarterback. They've got a solid team all around, like you said, Jamari Thrash. A lot of options on offense.
So many options.
And defense, we've already mentioned.
So many options. And then our last game we're going to look at is Carver Hardaway over at Memorial Stadium. That one was a shootout, and it was a thriller. It came down to the fourth quarter. And I think this is just 2 teams that are both on the rise who both have a legitimate threat to make the playoffs this year. Carver was in the playoffs last year. Hardaway has not been in several years. And I think the biggest thing, I think this was one of the biggest hurdles for Carver in the region. Because now with America Sumter, they've kind of had a tough start to the season. Cairo looked very impressive against Northside last week. The top of the region is kind of wide open at this point.
It made me a believer in what Corey Joyner's doing down there at Carver, because again, he's one of almost the dozen head coaches that we got who are new to that position in this area. But he's a guy that really wanted to bring back that tradition. Took a lot of pride in that Carver winning tradition, and that was definitely a punch counter punch kind of game. It was a heavyweight fight, and what I was really impressed with Carver's composure. Because Hardaway has weapons.
Oh, absolutely.
And again, they're both teams on the rise. Hardaway was one of those teams that they're relentless as well, constantly coming at you. Defense is solid. Their running back is great. But for Carver to weather that storm and finally come out on top, get a couple stops, that's incredible. And Kyrie McCoy, I mean, we've talked about him almost every single time we talk about Carver. That team's also becoming deeper. I mean, yes, he leads the way, but now I think all phases are starting to click, and that's going to be great for Carver moving forward.
And every game has been so close for Carver. They've shown us time and time again they can win these close games. And for Hardaway, same situation. That coach also went to school there.
Mike Woodridge.
That's right. So back in the day, I mean, and he has that same mentality as I want to bring the pride of Hardaway back to the school. And both coaches have really done it.
Yeah, because I mean, we can't understate, even though in the loss, we can't understate how good Hardaway has been.
They really have.
And like I said, I think that's another team who could threat. You put a better Hardaway, a better Carver, a better Columbus. Those are the 3 teams that were fighting for that 4th spot last year.
Yeah.
That we might be looking at a similar thing again, because this region is still stacked.
So the last few weeks of the season are going to be really, really
because
interesting.
we have to look at Cairo. We know Cairo's good.
Right.
I don't think Northside was as bad as they played last Friday. I think that was more of the outlier rather than the norm. And then, Shaw, they've looked better.
They have.
So, I mean, you can't really count a lot of these teams out yet.
That's true. So it's going to be really fun as the season moves on.
Oh, man. I don't know if we're going to have a 6-way tie for second again, but it's going to be a lot of fun to watch as we get through to the season. Speaking of Carver, as we move into this week's slate, Eye on the Future, they're playing Corey Joyner's former team, the Doherty Trojans. Telling 2 teams right here, we're talking about Carver. 3-0, they've won all their games by 1 score or less.
Wow.
Doherty, meanwhile, 0-3, and it hadn't quite been pretty. And I think these are the kind of games Carver needs to win to avoid what I just talked about, where we get everything's tight, points matter, wins matter, and this is a region game. So at this point, I feel like meanwhile, Carver's in a stretch where they haven't left Columbus yet.
That's true. Very true.
They have not left Columbus yet, and they will not leave Columbus until their October 5th game at Cairo. So I feel like if there's a time for them to just kind of rack up wins,
Yes.
it's now.
Oh, they've done it so far, right?
They've done it so
Yeah,
far.
so-
It's great. But, it's, and especially in this region, it's about what you've done for me lately. I feel like as long as they keep doing what they've been doing, this should not be a problem for the Tigers.
I don't see why it would be. I mean, they've shown us nothing but success in close games and in coming back. It's not just that they get a lead and then the other team sneaks back. No.
Right.
We've seen this team go down at halftime, come back twice and win the game, and then hold off a very good Hardaway team.
Yeah.
So they've done it both ways, right? They've taken the lead and held it. They've also been down and come back and stayed to win. So I've seen everything that I like from Carver. It's not just they can do this, they can do that. They can do both, and then they can win the game. That's important.
When you become that complete team, no matter what situation you're in, I think that's a great point that all these teams, all the wins have been really, really close.
Right.
So they're not going to break. They're not going to break that composure that you have to worry about sometimes with high school teams. If it is within 3 or 4 points, how are they going to react? They've been there before. And I think we joked in the office, this is kind of the Corey Joyner Bowl. But at the same time, I think Coach Joyner has found a real identity with this Carver team.
Exactly.
And this is a game you want to make a statement on. It's like,
Exactly.
okay, look, this is our 4th win in a row, and we want to win it big. Maybe that's the time. It's like, all right, cool, we won all these close games, sure, but we have more in the tank, and build momentum, as you mentioned, to get all these wins now towards the rest of the season.
Exactly, because the schedule only gets tougher.
Right.
I mean, you got a game matchup with Columbus, then you play Cairo, you still got American Sumter,
Right.
And that American Sumter game's on the road. So it's good to get your wins now, and then face off with your tougher schedule as we get further down the road. Another game that's going to be a big one is a region matchup in Region 4-1A East. Sly County coming off a big win over Spencer. Sorry about that, folks down in Ellaville. They're facing off with Hawkinsville. Hawkinsville, a traditional power in that region. Kind of been on the down low, but still, this is a must-win game for the Wildcats if they want to kind of stake a claim in the region championship conversation.
And I think Sly is one of those teams that we know we expect them to win all the time, or at least to be great contenders and be that powerhouse in that region. Sly is one of those teams. I'm sure they may stumble here and there, but there's a lot of good things going for them, and I honestly would have to lean their way as well.
I tend to too. Their offense picked it up last week, which is great, and their defense. I mean, Spencer is no slouch.
Right.
I mean,
They've fallen off really hard, like just bad luck at the beginning part of the season.
Yeah, they've had 3 heartbreakers in a row. Lost all 3 of those games by combined 11 points or something, or somewhere in that neighborhood. So Spencer's had it rough, but kudos to the Wildcats playing up and getting the win against a tough team, a team that has gotten better. And I know they still have a matchup against Dewey County coming up, which is a top 10 team. And then you still got Taylor County that's waiting in the wings. It's good to go ahead and knock out it's just almost similar to Carver, where it's a team that's on the rise, and it's good to go ahead and get these games that you should win out the way, so when you face up with the big boys, you can come to play.
Absolutely.
And who knows, we might find them in that last week of the season playing for the Region 4-1A championship. And finally, it's the one elephant in the room. It's our PrepZone tailgate game of the week. It is Callaway. It is Troop. Woo. Justin, man, you are the lucky one that gets to go there.
That's right.
You've been in Troop County all week. How are these teams preparing, man?
So these teams haven't played since 2015. I think that's interesting because that was
Right.
Tanner Glisson's first year over there with the Tigers, and that was a completely different team. After that first season, they racked off 17 wins in his next 2 years. So we have 2 very, very good football teams. One that has, in Callaway, gone to the playoffs 12 straight years. Pete Wiggins has been there for 14. And then you have Troop, which has had more recent success. So, it's old money, new money kind of thing when it comes to wins. But these 2 teams, I was talking to the players, they all know each other. They played Little League ball together, whether that was Pee Wee football, baseball, basketball, whatever the case may be, because they're only 15, 20 minutes apart, right? So they know each other so well. And for the seniors on both teams, it's the last chance to play some of their best friends to go across. I was talking to Keandre Jones. He's committed to Auburn. He said, you know what? In a year or 2, I'm going to be able to play with some of those guys. He's going to play against King Makuta, who plays for Troop County, and then he's also going to play with Kobe Hudson in 2 years when he joins Auburn. So it's just funny to think that we have so many Division I talented athletes. And I was also talking to the head coach over there, Tanner Glisson. He said, it's not classification, whatever, 2A, 4A, doesn't matter. If you got a good football team, you got a good football team. And we saw that when Callaway took down Opelika,
That was incredible.
And that was one of the things that we also heard from Pete Wiggins when we were over there. He was saying, we've had to go up before. We're doing it again. So it's a challenge, no doubt.
And they've had success playing up.
Right, it's a challenge, no doubt, but they've answered that challenge before. So I had no expectation for them to win that Opelika game.
Right.
Now I don't know. I think they're a talented football team. You can't put anything past them, especially a Troup County team that may be one of the best teams that we're going to cover in Georgia this year.
Yeah, I tell you what, it's been a long time since we've seen a game of this magnitude in the state of Georgia, in our area. It's been a long time. Both of these teams, both very well could have dates in Mercedes-Benz Stadium in the second week of December. If I had to, I don't know which team, how to pick which team.
You got a coin?
Seriously. I mean, I know we did it for the last call last week, but I mean, it's really hard to kind of pick because, I mean, you got Kobe Hudson, phenomenal player, starting at quarterback for Troup. You got Jacob Freeman, who is more than earned his keep as a quarterback for Callaway.
And that's interesting because Jacob Freeman was a wide receiver during his first 2
Yes, he
years
was.
at Callaway.
I didn't know that.
And then
Wow.
Kobe
Yes, he
Hudson
was.
was also a wide receiver, now playing quarterback. But when I talked to both of them, they said, you know what, when I was little, I played in middle school, so I'm not unfamiliar with it.
Sure.
So you have two guys that were playing receiver just because they're so talented, they wanted to play in high school. But then they switched over to quarterback because they're the best guys at that position. So it's interesting that we have two guys that are wide receivers, and we'll probably play that at the next level. Definitely Kobe for sure. I'm not sure about Jacob. But two guys that were wide receivers now playing quarterbacks just because of how talented they are. And they're both juniors.
Exactly. Then you got weapons at wideout. You got weapons at running back. You know, you talked about Trey Williams earlier. Tank Bisbee for Callaway's, you know, put up, almost 300 yards on Opelika
I think more than
earlier this year?
Right.
I mean, that's
and Jacob had 100 yards in that game, too.
That's a 6A school. I mean, I know we're not talking about classifications, but Opelika's no slouch.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, honestly, I think this game could easily be early candidate for Game of the Year. There's so much potential, so many explosive plays that can happen. If you're a fan of SEC recruiting, just watch this game and see what the future holds. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I think you guys have said everything, but like, who's going to win? I literally have no idea. And that's the most fun to cover that game. And
Seriously.
I wish we could just move the prep zone to that game. And then just do all the games, the highlights from there.
Yeah.
We have a lot of great games coming up, but that one, it was the clear choice for tailgate game of the week. And golly, it's just
it's one I've had marked on the calendar when they release the schedules in May. Like, seriously.
So it's going to be a lot of fun. And just the fact that these two teams, later on, if they could play for the same state title, that'd be great. It seems like that kind of caliber game, the hype behind it, the talent that's there. Man, this is going to be fun.
And they both say their goal is state title. I know every team says that, but realistically, that should be the goal for both teams because they're both talented enough and both well coached enough to do it.
Exactly. And I mean, Callaway's already number 2 team in Class 2.
And that's the thing. They are top 10 teams in their classification.
Exactly.
Right.
And I think Troup is underrated.
And it's important that it's not a region game, so there's no state implications or anything like that.
Yeah.
Both teams have said it's bragging rights, but man, it's going to be a whole lot more than that.
Oh my gosh.
To those communities, a whole lot.
A whole lot.
Oh man, you talk about playoff atmospheres. That will be a playoff atmosphere in Callaway
Good practice
Stadium.
for it, yeah.
And I like how Keandre actually acknowledged it on the story that you did, was like, look, this does matter to him. It's his senior year. It matters so much to them. So the fact that it matters to the players, it matters to the community, gosh, it has to matter to people in our professions.
Yeah,
And you know what's funny? You heard it on Tuesday, was that for them, he was saying that, but then I talked to the guys over at Troup, they said, just another game. Just another game. It's business as usual, suit and tie. Let's get ready to go. And then, you know, Keandre was saying it's a rivalry game. These guys on Troup, they know it's a rivalry, but they just said, no disrespect, but hey, it's just another game. So it's interesting mindsets. I don't know if I don't want to speak for just Keandre and the whole team, but maybe one team thinks, you know, we got to go in and win this game. Another team's like, we'll play.
Really interesting to see how the mindset goes.
Yeah, yeah. And maybe they're just saying that because the camera's there.
Sure.
Yeah. I'm sure they're going to get up for it no matter what.
It is the professional answer.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
Both of these teams are going to get up for this.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
I mean, the game that they played in 2015, I actually covered that game.
Yeah.
And that game was great. Despite it being Tanner Glisson's first year, that game was good. And that was also, the seniors in this game were freshmen in that game. Okay? So you can't tell me that those players don't remember what happened that day at Callaway Stadium.
Should be a lot of fun. Just turn on the lights and put on the pads. Let's have some fun.
Like, I really wish we could just stay there. Like Breck said, we have a lot of great games coming up on the PrepZone this week.
Really good though.
But I'm like, you know, can we DVR this game? Can I go back and watch this game, please?
Be a lot of fun. And of course, check the PrepZone. This guy.
Yeah, he'll be
Lucky
there.
assignment, man.
That's right.
You
5
just
and
get
6.
all the good stuff, man. Get all the good stuff. He'll be out there 5 and 6 during the first and evening edition. We'll get into that a little bit. But first, as always, we have to hit our teams hitting the road. And we have a lot of Alabama teams that are hitting the road in region matchups. Central is on the road outside of Montgomery. They're playing Prattville and former Opelika coach Caleb Ross. Opelika, speaking of them, Biggie against Wetumpka last year. Opelika won this game last year, which ended up helping them get top of the region title in that region last year. So that will be a big one. Back in Georgia, Marion County's heading over to Central Georgia. They will play Bleckley County. Northside is down to Albany. They are playing Westover in another Region 1 4A tilt. That one is going to be big as far as down the road for a playoff. After Northside's lost to Cairo, the Patriots need a win.
They need it bad, too.
But like we said, Troop Callaway is our game of the week. 5 and 6 o'clock, Justin will be out there. He will give you all the preview you need. And of course, the Prep Zone presented by WOW at 11:15, 10:15 Central every Friday night with these two lovely gentlemen. They will give you all the scores and highlights from across the Chattahoochee Valley and beyond. And don't forget to follow us on social media. We are very active on social media at Twitter, WRBL Sports, Facebook, News 3 Sports, at RexCastCO TV, at Justin Holbrook, at Jay Patterson TV. We will have you covered for everything you could ever need to know when it comes to high school sports in the Chattahoochee Valley. But until next week, that's gonna do it. So for the Must See 3, I'm Jeff Patterson. We'll see you next week on the Prep Zone Preview. Go out and enjoy the games.